Okay, you guys, look at what we did before. How did I find the total horizontal distance up on number 4? What did I do? Come on, what did I do? How did I find the total horizontal distance on number 4? I subtracted both of the numbers. The x numbers or the y numbers? The x numbers, because x is horizontal movement, right? So I'm going to do the same thing. Y, no, I just said x and then I wrote a y. X minus 3. Isn't that what we did up here? We did 3 minus, we subtracted the x's, right? You guys with me? Why couldn't I put a graph on this one? Donnie, why couldn't I put a graph on this one?
Because there's not that much numbers.
There's no numbers. We don't know where to graph it. You got it. Okay. How are we doing? Gary, Megan, questions? Does that make sense? The x minus 3? Okay. Part B then. How do I find the vertical distance, Bodie?
Subtract the y.
You got it. Y minus 5. Now, here's the point, right? Notice, you guys focus here. Notice that when I did this one up here, when I took these and I divided the 5 in half and I got the 2.5, right? That's where that came from. And I took the 2 and I cut it in half and I got the -1, right? You guys with me? Earth to class, okay? But 2.5 and -1 wasn't my answer, right? Wasn't that how far I moved? Right? My 0.5 came from doing my starting coordinate plus 2.5, right? And then my 7 plus the -1. Does this make sense? Where'd this -2 come from? Where'd the -2 come from?
The x going on the first.
Yeah, that's where I started, my starting x. And the 7, you guys, I need you to talk a little quieter. Okay? It's okay. And then the 7 is my starting y, right? You guys with me? So then where'd the 2.5 come from, Riley? No. Hold on. What, Riley? Yeah, it's my horizontal distance cut in half, right? So the 2.5 came from doing half of 5. And my -1 came from doing half of my vertical distance. You guys with me? Does it make, what we're doing here is I'm trying to find this midpoint, right? Does it make sense that my start plus my change equals where I end up?
Yes.
My start plus how much I change equals where I end up, right? But we don't want the whole change. What I want is half of it. Why? What's the point of doing half of it? So I can find the middle, the whole point of what we're doing right now. Does that make sense? So I'm taking where I start, and then I'm adding half of my change, and it's going to be where I end up. Does that make sense? That's got to make sense before we can build. Are we focused? I know we're quiet now, but are we focused? Yeah, does that make sense? So what if I wanted to find a third of the way? What would change in my formula here? What if I wanted to find a third of the way? What would I change? Yeah, to what? 3, right? Because I'm still going to take my start plus my change. If I wanted a third of the way, it would just be a third of that change. Does that make sense? How are we doing, okay?
Good.
Okay, so then if I want to find, this is the total horizontal distance, right? But I want half of that. Does that make sense? I want half of that. And what's my starting x coordinate? What's my starting x coordinate on this question? 3. So this is my start plus half of my change. And then now I want to do it for my y. Starting y plus half of my change. So I'll do 5 plus y minus 5 over 2. We're about to make both points unknown. So I need to know if there's any questions. Okay. Now they're going to race from X start to X finish. So horizontal distance, does that use the X's or the Y's? So I'm going to say X. I'll just do a little F because I'm too lazy to write finish. Minus X start. So if I want the midpoint, remember Crab's location is the midpoint. Then I'm going to take my starting position plus half of my horizontal distance.
What's the x-axis? Is that the first?
X sub start. Yep. That's where we start. Are we doing okay? So then now to find the y coordinate, what's up?
Do you just want me to write A2s on the back? Because this is like all full.
Yeah, right. Draw another one column there.
There's stuff in there. Thank you. They're shaking. They're shaking. They're shaking. Shake.
All right. Oh no! I made a mistake. Anybody notice the mistake I made? Good.
Does it look like Josh?
One ticket for insulting each other.
Oh no, that's not insulting. That's compliment.
That's not assault.
That's compliment.
I feel disrespected by both of you guys today. So, 2 tickets is disrespecting Summers, and I just asked for 1 ticket.
What did I do? I already turned in my phone.
How much of it was it a battle for you to like listen to me for that? You guys are not even trying today. It's driving me nuts. Okay, this is our formula for midpoint. So let's practice a couple. I want to find the midpoint between each pair of points. Okay? So we're just going to always say the first coordinate is starting. Thank you, Donnie. So this is my start and this is my finish. Okay? So using my formula, what's XS?
X start.
Good, -1. Plus 1/2 -3 minus -1. So this represents my horizontal distance, right? And then I want half of that, and I added it to my start. Thank you. Okay, find that. You can use your calculator, find that. Donnie, find that. You can use your calculator, but find that.
I don't know how to use it.
You just type it in.
That right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then what would pop up?
What will pop up? When you type that in, what is that number going to represent? Is that the what, Landon? It's the x coordinate of my halfway point. If you got an error, it probably has to do with which ones you type in as negatives or subtraction.
How do I put a half?
These are both the negatives, and this one is the subtract. Do 0.5.
Where's the slash?
Is it negative?
Where's the slash?
Yeah, -2 is correct.
How do you do the slash?
When you, it's the divide sign.
So 1 divided.
But you can, or you can just type in 0.5. Yeah. Okay, now let's find the y coordinate halfway. 9 plus 1/2, -5 minus 9.
I got -2.
Good, that's right. For the first one, you got it.
I do that one next.
How
Go.
do you put the half in?
Do 0.5. Might be easier to do 0.5 or just do 1 divided by 2. If you guys have your graphing calculator here, fractions are easier to type in on the graphing calculator than they are the little calculators, just so you know. What'd you get for this next one, Donnie?
Oh. Yeah, it's 2. 2.
So then that is my point. That's, if I graphed those, it's halfway between those two.
This is starting.
After I got you to pay attention, that's a miracle, huh? Almost like I know what I'm doing, right? Okay, do you guys want to do one more together, or are you ready to try one on your own? One more together?
One
Okay.
more.
Okay, the first one is our starting point. So start and finish. So I'm going to do start plus half.
Is it always that? Start and then the plus half?
Yeah, look, this is our formula.
Oh.
Plus half of finish minus start. And then start plus half of finish minus start.
Put that on a calculator.
You got it.
Is it negative or minus times negative?
Yes.
So I can just do cos that.
What? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jacob. Man, you guys are getting... Now we have got a class going today.
This makes more, to be fair, this makes more sense than the graph test. Like
Yeah.
this stuff.
Only because we did a bunch of graphs.
Well,
If I had
like
jumped
the
straight
graph.
to the numbers, you guys, I've done this activity for 14 years with like 4 classes a year.
Dang, 14 years.
Yeah, that looks good.
I like the graphing better.
Is it -5?
Well, the numbers only make sense because we did the graph.
Is it -5?
The last one is good. What's the first one?
1.5 and
You got it. So then, my halfway point.
I see.
Okay, try one on your own. I want the midpoint.
I have a question, Miss Summers.
Answer.
So, you remember how we were doing the ACT stuff and I forgot to graph
I
one?
have it.
Well,
Now is it too late?
No, I think so. I had like a course, right? I think I have my test in my car.
Oh, you can use that one, or I did put one out for
And
you.
I have the grade, so I was wondering if I have it, I can grade it real quick, and then after